What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Triple Threat Talk. Today is episode 25. I'm going to make this episode a little... Actually, no. I say that I'm going to make it quicker, but I always feel like I end up going a little bit longer. But big day today. Luka Doncic is playing his first game in a Los Angeles Laker uniform. I will be giving updates as he plays. So if you ever see me looking at my phone to the right over here, it's because I am following along with that. Real quick, he already has a turnover, not great, but he does have an alley-oop lob to Jackson Hayes. So the Luka era is off and running, but we are back. Another episode of Triple Threat Talk. Episode 25. Pretty crazy. It's already been 25 episodes so far. Really enjoying doing this all for you guys. If you enjoy it, please let me know. Like and subscribe. Please follow, comment on any of the videos of the podcast that you listen to. Follow me on my other socials, Instagram, TikTok, X, at Talkin' Triple on Instagram and X, and at Triple Threat Talk on at Triple Threat Talk 0 on TikTok. Very fun episode for you all. Let me just double check. 4 games to cover on Friday, another 4 on Saturday. And then I know I have a little spiel for a Sunday game, which won't take too long, but I do want to get it in there. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Celtics game that I was able to watch tonight against the Miami Heat. So I guess without further ado, let's just get right into it. So Friday night, did I watch? No, I didn't really watch a lot of the NBA games. I was playing Pokemon. Who cares? Anyway, but I did watch the highlights for these games. So first game up, the Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Toronto Raptors 121-109. And a big part of that, or actually, I'll cover the stats first. Jalen Williams, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Alex Caruso, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Aaron Wiggins, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And for the Raptors, Scotty Barnes, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. And Grady Dick, 17 points, 7 assists. Or 7 rebounds, sorry. Main reason I'm covering this game is because of Chet Holmgren's return. 22 minutes on the floor, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. He is obviously the number 2 guy for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He went down early in the season after having a really solid start to the year. All-star caliber for sure. And he's been out for about the last, I think it was 10 weeks? I don't think 10 weeks, maybe like 3 months just to play it safe. Oh, Luka 3. There it is. First bucket in a Laker uniform. That's going to go trending on Twitter. Chet Holmgren is back. Does this really mean a lot? Absolutely. 100%. Offensively, I don't think it changes much. Like, he obviously brings more value as a stretch big, and it allows more big rotations for the Thunder. They don't have to constantly run a small ball lineup with like SGA or J-Dub or Lou Dort being the 5. But the real impact is the defensive side of the ball. I saw a stat that said, and I know this is preseason I'm talking about, but preseason, there was a game where Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren played together on the court. Together, the Thunder had a defensive rating of 54.7. That is like best in NBA history. Is that consistent enough? No, because it's one game, 1, and 2, it's in preseason. So it's not like that's really going to hold. But the Thunder are the best team record-wise in the NBA right now. I think they're 41-9 after tonight's game. And what happens when you bring in your second best player who is incredibly dynamic offensively, but also just one of the best overall defenders in the league? You get better. And that's what the Thunder are getting. They didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, but in reality, you did make a move. You got a player back. Sure, was he on that team already for a very long time? Absolutely. But it's the aspect of, hey, you get him back. So being able to have a player like Chet Holmgren really does create an X factor for your team. He showed it last year in his rookie season. I know he was drafted in 22, but he was out for the entire year with an ACL tear. You're able to see how much value he is able to bring to a team like the Thunder, where I know they have SGA, obviously, one of the best scorers in the league, one of the best players in the league. But they do honestly sometimes have very tough times shooting the ball and just creating offense outside of SGA. He creates so much gravity, he creates so much presence on the floor, dare I say aura, that he causes a lot of people to collapse onto him, forcing kickouts. But if you have the shooters, that makes it a lot easier. Now, a lot of the big mans don't have the opportunity to they have the opportunity to double if they're in space kind of roaming, because it's not like if they shut down the pass to Hartenstein, it's not that easy. With Holmgren, they're able to create more dynamicness on offense. Everybody knows this. Like having a 7-1 guy, 7-2 guy who is able to stretch the floor, really good speed, really good handling ability, and can also pass the ball well, that just creates more issues. Will SGA's numbers die down a little bit? Yes, because that's just what happens when you bring in a caliber of player back into the fold. Will their offense change a little bit? Absolutely. Will it be for the better? 1000%. Chet Holmgren is one of the best players in the league under the age of 25. He is one of the most consistent players. We saw it last year. I mean, he's winning Rookie of the Year any other year that Victor Wembanyama isn't playing in. He would have won it if he had those numbers 2 years ago against Paolo for Rookie of the Year and Scotty for Rookie of the Year. So when we look at a player, or I can't even remember if Scotty was that year, but against Paolo, in that case, Jabari Smith and those guys, if we look at a player like Chet Holmgren and you're able to implement him back in after you go on the best start of your franchise's career, going 40-8, 41-8, I'm just going to quickly clarify that right now. But if you're able to go on that stretch, 43-9, oh my God, a couple games have passed since I last saw that stat. You're able to really change up your team in a whole lot of ways. Now, this does put them over the top as the best team in the West, by far, from a team standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, and at times an offensive standpoint. At times they are one of the best offensive teams. They have all the pieces. It's just, will the shooters make their shots? But do they have a perfect road to the finals? No, but like nobody does. Nobody's going to have, like, they will be the number one seed in the West. They're going to win it comfortably. Will they have a perfect run in the playoffs? I don't know. We're going to have to see what the time looks like with Chet coming back in and everything like that, and what that looks like in regards of just kind of the team dynamic in that sense. Now, for the Raptors, really just not a good game at all. They didn't have Jakob Poeltl. The Brandon Ingram is still out with an injury. Obviously, they just got him at the trade deadline. But like, I don't know what it is with the Raptors, and like on paper, very solid lineup. Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Jakob Poeltl. That's a good five. Especially next season. Give Grady Dick time to develop. Scotty Barnes is only going to get better. Let Brandon Ingram get healthy. Jakob Poeltl is a very solid, underrated big man. And then Emmanuel Quickley just needs to find his footing more and more and kind of just get more associated with the lineup. But it's like, you sign Quickley to this long-term deal. I mean, RJ Barrett, I completely forgot about RJ Barrett. You signed RJ Barrett to a long-term deal as well. You're going to sign Brandon Ingram to a long-term deal, and you signed Scotty to a long-term deal. I get the idea of, hey, we want a core four. I understand that. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense when it's those four. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like the Celtics wanted to lock up JB, JT, Drew Holiday, and Derek White. Why? Because Derek White is under the age of 30 and wants to be about the age of 30 and wants to be a Celtic for the rest of his career. Drew Holiday is going to finish his career here, and Jason and Jalen are in the primes of their career, and they're only going to get better. But those four have proven that they work well together, and they've won together. What have the Raptors done in the last 3-4 years? Since the Kawhi trade, since Kawhi leaving, what has he done? What have the Raptors done to say, we are contenders? They had the bubble run where they were the 3 seed and then brought the Celtics to 7 games, but then inevitably lost in game 7. And then after that, it's just been downhill ever since. Ever since Kyle Lowry left, like OG is now not there. Pascal Siakam isn't there. like, what is this? I know it's a new regime with this team, but like, what is like the preface? Like, what is this team really going for? So I think it's pretty interesting, but I just don't really see how it works long term, that is. So anyway, but shout out, welcome back, Chet. Huge for him to be healthy again. I didn't even see his stats from tonight's game. I'm gonna take a quick look at those. I mean, the Thunder did drop 137 points on the Pelicans. Chet, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, and 5 blocks. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Thunder are the best team in the league overall wise, or record wise. Best team in the West for sure. And they're my pick to win the Western Conference Finals this season. So go Thunder, I guess. I don't know. I'm a Celtics fan. We all know that. Anyway, next game up, the Suns defeated the Utah Jazz 135-127. Why am I covering a Suns Jazz game? Because one, it went to OT. Any game that goes into OT is always exciting. Two, Grayson Allen hit one of the best shots I've ever seen in his career on a Royce O'Neal cross-court pass, perfectly catching in his hands with less than a second left on the clock. Catch and shoot, perfect shot, drains it to tie the game to send it to overtime. But I'm also covering this game because Devin Booker had 47.6 rebounds, 11 assists. It's pretty good. Grayson Allen, 21.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And Nick Richards, 12 points, 14 rebounds, 0 and 4 blocks as well. The Phoenix Suns, if they were able to deal Bradley Beal, then I think they would have saved their next 3 seasons. Unfortunately, they didn't. And a lot of that just has to do with the no trade clause for Bradley Beal. And sure, you could say that's the Suns' fault, but he isn't going to the Suns from Washington if he doesn't get that deal. He doesn't get that part of the deal anyway. And so I just think in terms of a team dynamic, the Suns need to make a change. I don't think it was to get rid of KD. I do think it was to get rid of Bradley Beal because you have 3 guys who are extremely ball dominant and are really only effective when they get the ball in their hands. Now, do I think Jimmy Butler is the fit for that team if he goes there? No, because Jimmy Butler, while he isn't as ball dominant, he isn't the same player as he was a couple years ago. And many of you who listen to this podcast also know that about me, how I feel about Jimmy Butler. But it is the aspect of just, I thought it was going to be a Luka 3. It was an Austin Reeves 3. No big deal. Kidding. It is not a precipice of can they win with a big 3? It's just let the 2 that you have really go wild. You're paying a lot of money for Bradley Beal, and you are not getting the money's worth in return. Bradley Beal is on the same level, in my opinion, or worse, honestly, than Derek White right now. Derek White is making about $30 million or so. I think he's like a 4-year, 130 for the next 4 years, which is great because Derek White is, I'd say, a $30 million player, which is still crazy for me to say because 10 years ago, superstars were $30 million players. But it is the aspect of, can you provide your worth? And clearly, Bradley Beal isn't. Devin Booker hasn't had the best system with him as well because they both play the 2. Bradley Beal or Devin Booker's becoming more of like a point guard-esque type player where he's able to facilitate the ball a lot more. It's evident in this game with 11 assists. If you were able to get 2 superstars like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and if you're able to tandem them with the players that you really think fit your roster, which I think Nick Richards does in this case, like very good, very athletic very athletic, very bouncy big man who's able to bring in boards, play solid defense. Mason Plumlee on a much lower scale than that, yeah, sure. But then Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Tyus Jones for the playmaking ability. And Ryan Dunn, obviously, who you're kind of bringing up to be that next step and be the future. Like, that makes sense. But then you have Bradley Beal in there, and on paper it sounds great. But this isn't 2K. Like, this isn't like, oh, we can easily get the ball around the floor really easily and I get to control how everything is. No, these are human beings and everything like that. So I don't think it really is going to stop until Bradley Beal is gone. But unfortunately, I think that's for like another year or 2. So I think it's tough to see the final years of Kevin Durant dwindle down like this and the prime of Devin Booker be hit with this roadblock because the Suns are really struggling. They aren't really finding a consistency on the court. And it's not great to go into a game against the Utah Jazz on your home court and to inevitably go into overtime and have to squeak out a win. But this was also without Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, not Kendrick Perkins. I don't know why. Shout out Kendrick Lamar. Halftime show. It was all right. I like his music a lot, but it was all right. Anyway, if you have this team and you want Devin Booker at his best, you got to move on from Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen until his contract is up. But hey, shout out Bradley Beal for getting it back. For the Jazz, though, Walker Kessler, 19 points, 22 rebounds. Geez, four assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. John Collins, 21.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And Isaiah Collier, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 13 assists, and 1 steal. I know a lot of Celtics fans wanted Walker Kessler for the Jaden Springer type thing. The only issue I have with it is we would be losing Springer. I mean, we traded away for a second-round pick, which obviously isn't great. But if you take in Kessler, you're going to just have to look at it and say, all right, you got to go. You're here for half a year. You got to go. Because he's coming up to the end of a rookie deal. Walker Kessler is not a $4 million player. He's going to be making $20 million from a team next year for probably the next 4 years. He's going to get a similar to Isaiah Hartenstein deal, maybe even like a 4-year 90 or a 4-year 100. I don't know, because I say he brings a little bit more offensive consistency and also a little bit more offensive consistency and also just a lot younger. So you're able to kind of like take the factor of like age and everything into account. But the Jazz really are in a purgatory where it's like they need a player. Like they have a bunch of guys who like can show up and show out. And then they have a bunch of guys who like we haven't seen a lot of games where it's like Lauri Markkanen is Lauri Markkanen or like is like who he actually is. And Colin Sexton plays up to his level and Walker Kessler. It just seems like, hey, tonight is Kessler and Sexton's night. You guys go crazy. The rest of us are going to kind of just trail behind. And then you have nights where it's like Markkanen and Isaiah Collier is going to go crazy. And then the rest are going to regress. They haven't really had a lot of nights where they're able to string it together, but they have a lot of young talent. Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, who I know is getting on the verge of being a vet, which he is a vet, actually. He's like in his 8th year in the league. That's crazy. Colin Sexton is going to be in his 8th year in the league. Wow, that's weird. And so I think with that just becomes a little bit of a situation where it's like not many players are going to be like, I want to go to Utah. You got to draft well, which they kind of are. It's just they don't have a lot of the consistency to put it together. So yeah, that's my Jazz talk probably for the next like 3 weeks. So anyway, next game up, the Philadelphia 76ers lose to the Detroit Pistons 125-112. I don't know why I set it up with the 76ers first when they lost, but Pistons win 125-112. Malik Beasley, crazy night, 36 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Jalen Duren, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. Asar Thompson, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And Tobias Harris, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. First off, this was without Cade, and the entire big three of the Sixers played. So that's funny. I'm always going to love a good hate watch on the 76ers. Why? Because I'm a Boston fan. I don't like the 76ers. I never have. I never will. And that's fine. But doing this without Cade and having Tobias Harris go off for 22 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal, when the guy who they brought in to be the better Tobias Harris in Paul George has 14 points, 1 rebound, and 1 steal. That is funny. That is very funny. For the Sixers, Tyrese Maxey, 27 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Joel Embiid, 23.7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks. And Kelly Oubre Jr., 14 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. For the Detroit Pistons, I'm so happy that they are playing so well. This is a very good basketball team. JB Bickerstaff has done an incredible job with this team. He has brought them back to the limelight. He's brought them back to being a legit contender. Now, will they get the pick that they want? No, but I think you'd rather be in the playoffs than get like a top 10 pick. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to look back at the tiers that I had them. I had them in the capture the flag tier. I did. I'm right on 2 of the teams in the Nets, the Wizards, and honestly the Blazers being the 3rd. But the Pistons are in the capture the flag tier in my book, and I feel bad. I also had the Sixers as a playoff team, which is also pretty funny. We're going to get back to those at like a later episode in the pod. But 76ers are playing really good basketball. And the catalyst of it is Cade Cunningham, who's going to the All-Star game, which congratulations to him. Very well deserved. But it is the players like Malik Beasley, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, who have stepped up big time in the absence of Jaden Ivey. You lose a player like Jaden Ivey, who's a true number 2, who you brought in as like the beginning of this nucleus for this team. I think he was drafted in 2020 and was there even before Cade. You bring him in and you're like, hey, we want you to be a part of our future. And he has been. But of course, unfortunately, he broke his fibula about a month and a half ago. But the Pistons are playing really good basketball. I mean, they're six in the Eastern Conference. They're a game and a half back on the Bucks and 3 games back on the Pacers from being that top 4 seed. Imagine if the Pacers get home court advantage for a series. Like, that'd be crazy. Detroit sports in general are on the come up. Obviously, the Lions, the Tigers had a really miraculous run in the postseason. And now the Pistons are back. And I think the Pistons just need like another like reliable player, but like they have the roster to, I'm not going to say contender, but they have the roster to win a couple playoff games. Maybe even win a series. I don't know, depending on who they play. I don't know. If they play the Knicks, I wouldn't be shocked, but I will trash on the Knicks in a little bit. Another hate watch excellence team. But yeah, shout out the Pistons. And for the 76ers, I mean, I know there was speculation about like, do they break up the big 3 already? Do they move on from Paul George? Do they try to look at if anybody wants Embiid? Because you're obviously going to keep Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is the only untouchable player. I'd say Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain are the only untouchable players if you're the 76ers right now. You're not going to give up McCain because of his age and also just what he did before the injury. You're not going to give up Tyrese Maxey just because of his age and his scoring ability. Like, you want him to be your number 1 player. The tough part is they don't have their draft pick. Do you want to know who does? The Oklahoma City Thunder. That sucks because they might win a championship and they might have a top 10 pick, which is funny just because of how bad the 76ers are and everything like that. It just like isn't working. It just isn't. They are currently 11th in the Eastern Conference. Sure, they could sneak into a play-in game. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I would love if they won the first play-in game and then lose, or they get into the back half of the play-in games and then they win both and they play the Cavs or something, and then they give the Cavs a tough matchup, like whatever it may be. But is the aspect of, is it working? No, not at all, in fact. Should it work? Absolutely. You have 3 of the best players in the league, or 2 of the best players. I don't know why. I'm not a Joel Embiid fan. I think he's solid. I think he's good. But he's just injured all the time. Paul George is injured a lot. Tyrese Maxey is the one that is your team MVP for the year so far. And when they're playing together, they should be good, but they aren't. So, but trading Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin was dumb. And like, I'm not saying they should have moved on from any of the 3, but you should have at least looked at the offers. Because if there was an offer where it's like, hey, you get 2 first-round picks for Paul George, I wouldn't say no to that offer. I know this isn't the NFL where it's like a first-round pick is so much more valuable than a first-round pick in the NBA. Because obviously there are plenty of times where a first-round pick doesn't really work out. 2 first-round picks for a player that you can like save your franchise for the next couple of years, that'd be huge. But instead, you're paying Paul George for 4 years and $50 million per year for him to average on the season 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, nearly 2 steals, and half a block on 43, 37, and 82% shooting splits. It's not very good, and he's also been out for a good amount of the games. Oh my God, DeMar DeRozan hit a game winner in Dallas. That's cold. How much time? 2.1 seconds. That's a game winner. By the way, game winners count. They can be clarified as a game winner if 2 possessions can't happen in between. And if, like, what I mean by that is, like, if it's 25 seconds, the other team comes down and takes a 3, misses, and then the team that made the game winner gets the ball, that's not a game winner. That's just a game clincher. There's a difference. But wow, DeMar DeRozan, game winner. And Clay hit a 3 right before that. Wow, that's crazy. So, but man, shout out the Pistons. I'm glad the Sixers are losing. So, again, unbiased. I swear. Go Celtics. Anyway, last game up from Friday. The Charlotte Hornets defeat the San Antonio Spurs 117-116. Miles Bridges, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, with the game-winning 3 in the corner as well. LiAngelo Ball, 24... whoa. That was a Freudian slip. LaMelo Ball, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists. I always forget how to say this guy's name. I'm just going to double check. Moussa Diabate, with 9 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. And Nick Smith, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Charlotte's a good team when they're healthy, and if they're fully healthy. All right, let me retract that statement. The Charlotte Hornets aren't that great of a team, but they have promise. I love Charles Lee as a head coach. When he is amped up for his players, he believes in his guys, and he rocks with them. LaMelo Ball is their future, is their core centerpiece. Absolutely. If you get another scorer on that team, if you get if you get an Ace Bailey on that team, or a Dylan Harper on that team, a guy who who you can trust to go out and get you some buckets and score the ball, that would be sweet. Especially running alongside LaMelo Ball, that'd be sweet. Why is my hair like that? Anyway, but you're without Trey Mann for a good amount of the season, as he's been out with a herniated disc. Brandon Miller, another great player. Josh Green has been out. Grant Williams is out for the entire season, and you almost had Dalton Connect, but we'll actually, I'll get into that actually in a sec, because we didn't cover the news at the beginning of the episode, but this relates to Dalton Connect right now. But yeah, you have a solid team. It's just the health factor is becoming a big issue, and also it's just I think you need that one true scorer that you can trust. LaMelo's going to get you the 10 assists and can get you 20 points easy, but if you can get a guy who's knockdown shooting, or because you have Diabate, and now you're bringing back Mark Williams as good rebounders and big men. And then you have some good shooters in LaMelo, Seth Curry, Josh Green if he's playing, Trey Mann when he's playing. But if you get another forward, if you get a 4 that can stretch the floor and also take it to the basket and score for you, that's huge. That's going to create a lot of value. Before I get into the Spurs, I'm going to cover the rescinded trade. If you didn't see, Mark Williams was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Dalton Connect, a first-round pick, and I think a swap of sorts. Yeah. And I think that might have been it. But that trade got rescinded because Mark Williams failed his physical with the Lakers. Now, I know the Hornets, it was announced tonight the Hornets are going to kind of look into it and kind of be all right, what happened to cause it go awry in a way? By the way, end of the first quarter, Luka has 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist on 2 of 3 shooting, and with a 3-pointer. So shout out Luka. But if you're looking at this and you're kind of just well, why did that happen? A lot of it had to do with just the aspect of just you got to pass your physicals, and Mark Williams' big issue is health. He's an incredibly talented player, incredibly young, very strong, big man with great leaping ability and solid defense. He isn't the best defender, but I feel a lot of the times it's if you're an average defender, average big man, it's you're going to get cooked whenever you play a Jokic, AD, Giannis, kind of those 10. But it clearly was something wasn't revealed to the Lakers where they were oh, there is a lot of health problems and he isn't passing his physicals. And so with that, left some question marks. Now, obviously, Dalton Connect is back with the Lakers and Mark Williams is back with the Hornets. I don't think it will be as weird of a kind of I don't think it will be as weird for Mark Williams to go back to the Hornets as it will be for Dalton Connect to go back to the Lakers. If you're the Hornets, you're hey, we wanted a young player who can shoot the ball well. We also got a first-round pick out of it and a pick swap. How are you turning that down if you're the Hornets? If you're rebuilding, if you're looking for another player on your team, then it works out. But if you're Dalton Connect and you go, so is me, I was the bait. I was the trade package. Like there was no one else really. Like you almost have to feel bad for him because he's like stepping back. Like it's not like he's like going to a team that he doesn't know or like that he doesn't know. He's going back to the team that drafted him with expectations of saying, "Hey, you're going to be here. Don't worry. Like you're going to be here. You're going to be our guy and everything like that. We're going to like make sure you like figure it out. Like we're going to make sure like you're a part of our future." And now he isn't. Well, now he is, but then he wasn't. So, I think with that it like leads to some questions and maybe some controversy. I don't think so, but it maybe he gets to play with Luka now, so that's pretty cool. Just getting some water. Sorry, but for the Spurs in this game, Stephon Castle 33 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. De'Aaron Fox 22 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. And Victor Wembanyama 16 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 blocks. Now, am I worried about the Spurs? Not really. But this was the one thing I was worried about. Wemby hasn't ever played with a player of the caliber of De'Aaron Fox. It's going to take some time for the two of them to gel. It's going to take some time for the two of them to figure out, like, hey, what do you do that I like? What do I do that you like? Kind of stuff like that. But Wemby shoots 7 of 20 in this game, and they don't shoot the ball well from 3. And it's not like De'Aaron Fox is brought in to say, like, hey, man, I can be the side 3-point shooter guy that you need. Like, no, like he's more of a kind of a catch and like a pull up 3 kind of guy, and maybe a catch and shoot 3 guy at the time at some points. But it's like it's going to take time to find their balance. It's going to take time to find the rhythm. Special duo, absolutely, but they got to be able to coexist with one another. And De'Aaron Fox shot 9 of 17. Wemby shot 7 of 20. De'Aaron Fox shot 2 of 5 from 3. Wemby shot 1 of 9. So I do think this kind of will allow Wemby to kind of get opened up to the idea of, hey, if you stay within like 15 feet extended of the basket and let me kind of take over the rest, then we'll be able to work a little bit more. But I think it will be figured out pretty quickly. Because Wemby's a smart guy, so is De'Aaron Fox, but I'm excited to see what the Spurs duo has. But this was definitely a speed bump for sure. All right, on to Saturday. 4 games to cover here. Actually, no. Only three. We have 3, and then we have a quick little thing for a Sunday game, and then I'll talk about the Celtics game. Actually, no. I'll give my quick thoughts on the Celtics game against the Heat tonight real quick. The Celtics could not shoot the ball to start the first quarter, and then they woke up. Their defense started playing well. They started hitting shots. Shout out Sam Hauser for like 4 or 5, not 4 of 5, 4 or 5 threes in the second quarter. And then Jason Tatum took over in the third quarter, scoring 20 points, ended the night with 33 points, 8 rebounds. Celtics had 4 guys above with 8 rebounds or more. They only had about 20 assists, but it felt like more. The ball was moving really well, and it was a needed win, especially being the best road team in the NBA. Al Horford with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Derek White, happy Derek White Day to everybody. If you don't know, Derek White was traded to the Boston Celtics 3 years ago on this day. Best day of my life. Miami-wise, they couldn't shoot the ball at all. They couldn't make a shot. Bam Adebayo was the only one that showed up. 22 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Andrew Wiggins, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. 2 of 8 from 3. Other than that, nothing really remarkable from the Heat. So go Celtics. But speaking of the Celtics, and the main game I wanted to cover about the Celtics was Saturday night prime time against the New York Knicks in the Garden. The real Garden is the TD Garden. Madison Square Garden is the Mecca. That's the nickname of Madison Square Garden. It's not the Garden. It's the Mecca. And what did the Celtics do? They dog walked them. They put them on the leash, and they took them for a while. Celtics win 131-104. Jason Tatum, 40 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Peyton Pritchard, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Luke Cornett, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks on 7 of 7 shooting. Derek White, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Jaylen Brown, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. That's a mouthful. Jalen Brunson, 36 points, 5 assists. Josh Hart with a solid game, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. He just got into some foul trouble. Karl-Anthony Towns, 9 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. If you're the New York Knicks, this is a demoralizing game for you. If you're the Boston Celtics, this is the game you know you can play. Without Kristaps Porzingis, without Jrue Holiday. I know the Knicks fans are going to say, we didn't have OG. Yeah, but is OG Anunoby the same value of Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis? That's what I thought. Hush. Anyway, the Celtics were the Celtics. It was as simple as that. The Celtics shot better from 3 than the Knicks did from the field by 6%. They out-rebounded them by 18. Fast break points, Celtics lost the fast break points matchup, but they beat them in points in the paint and everything like that. So how did the Celtics win this game? It was the simple fact of Celtics made more shots. Well, that's obviously how you win the game. But they just utilize their pieces way better than the Knicks do. I get it. No OG, no Mitchell Robinson. That hurts, obviously. And it's obviously backbreaking to have a Jason Tatum performance like that. But if you're the Knicks, you got to switch things up. The lineups with Precious Achiuwa wasn't working. The defense, as much as you have 3 really solid defenders in OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges, you have 2 guys who are massive defensive liabilities in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. You want to be a superstar in this league? You don't get taken out for the clutch time possessions for defense. What does Jalen Brunson get done to him? He gets taken out for clutch time defensive possessions. That's not a good look. It's just not. He showed up offensively. That's great. He couldn't defend Jason Tatum or Derek White or really anybody. Also, extremely unethical basketball. He just is bumping, trying to lean into Derek White or whoever's defending him and just going to the free throw line. Reminder, Jalen Brunson had 36 points in this game. Would you like to take a guess on how many of those points were from the free throw line? Over a third. 13 of 13. Jason Tatum, 40 points, 7 from the line. I know which one's better. I do. Anyway. But this was the Celtics game they needed. All right? You look at the scheme of last week. Tuesday, unreal game against the Cavs. You do everything that you need to do. You win in Cleveland. You go home. You play the Mavericks without Anthony Davis. You get shit on. Klay Thompson doesn't miss a shot. Spencer Dinwiddie doesn't miss a shot. Kyrie Irving gets booed on every possession, but he comes out with the last laugh for only his second win since he stomped on Lucky's head. But the fact of the matter is this. You do not want to play the Boston Celtics on the road, or when the Celtics are on the road and they come off a loss, they're the best team in the league. It's as simple as that. All right? But when Jason Tatum plays like the way he did, taking control of the game, finding his rhythm, finding his space, finding his shots, he's a top 5 player in the league. Easily. Now, do I want to get controversial and say top 3? Absolutely. When he plays like this, he's a top 3 player in the league. Okay? He's not better than Jokic. Sure. But at times he can be. And right now, I would say SGA is the more consistent player. But if we get this Jason Tatum for the rest of the year, I don't see the Celtics losing. I really don't. If he takes over this game and Jaylen Brown is the secondary asset that the Celtics need. By the way, there's some people on my Twitter that think I don't like Jason Tatum. I love Jason Tatum. There are some people on my Twitter who thinks I can't cheer when Jason Tatum makes a good play. To extra ice on X. Let me explain something. You and I got in an argument because I said you, extra ice, value Jason Tatum winning an MVP more than a championship. You kind of talked about the fact that I basically flat out asked him, I was like, would you rather have Jason Tatum win an MVP and the Celtics not win a championship, or Jason Tatum not win MVP and the Celtics win a championship? Sure, Jason Tatum can win an MVP and the Celtics win a championship. I wasn't arguing that at all, which he clearly thought I was. The fact of the matter is, I was more so saying, hey man, I would rather win than see Jason Tatum win an MVP. Because guess what? Kristaps is leaving after next season, most likely, because we aren't going to be able to pay him. Jrue Holiday is getting old. And apparently everybody in Celtics Nation wants Jaylen Brown to hit the road. So guess what? There will be plenty of times for Jaylen Jason Tatum hit the 40 points that he needs to, the 50 points, 60, whatever it may be. I get it. You're salty that you care about one player more than an entire team. That's fine. I don't care. Like, think, okay? But when he plays like this, and he plays aggressive and he plays assertive, best player, one of the best players in the league. When you have Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench providing 25 points for you, 4 rebounds and 4 assists, one of the best bench units in the league. Luke Cornett is our third string center. 14, 12, 1 point, 1 rebound, or 14 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks. But what did the Boston Celtics do? They do what the Boston Celtics do, and they dog walk the Knicks. Simple as that. New York Knicks, here's the message. You will always be our little brother. Go ahead and win a ring before you even consider yourself the real Garden. You haven't won one in 51 years. We've won, trying to remember the math, 5? 1 in every 10 years. Since you haven't won, we've won. Put that math into your head. Get out of here, Knicks fans. Kidding. Please listen. Next game up, the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Houston Rockets 116-105. Big game. No obvious reason. I'm kidding. Anthony Davis's first game in a Mavericks uniform. Unreal start to the first quarter, though. Just unreal. I think he had like 17 points in the first and just looked like the Anthony Davis of New Orleans and unreal. Finished the night with 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. Unfortunately, adductor strain came in, non-contact injury. He's going to be out for the next 2-3 weeks. Or nearly a month, I think, which isn't great. But Max Christie balled out, 23 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal and 1 block. And Kyrie Irving, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. That's a really good team. They're a much more balanced team now, I'd say, because they have a lot better defending and they don't have to figure out like who's going to be the primary ball handler and everything. And you can run a lot more pick and rolls and everything like that. And you get Anthony Davis at his true position of the 4. Now, would I still do that trade? No, absolutely. I would keep Luka Doncic because it's Luka Doncic. But if you get consistent production like this from AD, you guys will be just fine. Obviously, you won't for a little bit because he got hurt, unfortunately. But Max Christie has played really well for the Mavericks so far this season, or since he's gone to the Mavericks. And I still do like the Mavs a lot. I just think that they brought themselves from being a contender tier to like a really good playoff team, unfortunately. And I just think that's the way it's going to go. And I don't think any Mavs fans are going to be happy until Nico Harrison gets fired. But that's not my problem. Wick, please sell the team to a really, really wealthy owner. That's all I ask. Go Celtics. For the Rockets, Jalen Green, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. Alperen Şengün, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. And Amen Thompson, 20.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. I'm a huge fan of the Rockets team. I would be an even bigger fan if they got rid of Fred VanVleet. Here's why. I know he was injured in this game, but he is your offensive kryptonite. He is your killer. Sure, there are games where he will get you 30. I'm not denying that. But I just think at times he hurts the offensive flow a lot. I don't know what I think they do need another like true shot maker, like a Jalen Green-esque with obviously a little bit more efficiency would help. But Fred VanVleet kind of goes into that Peyton Pritchard mode where he'll go iso ball a lot and kind of just tunnel vision. But like, I think the Rockets are really solid. They're really good defensively and they have been all year. I think a lot of this is like Dylan Brooks didn't shoot well. Jalen Green shot honestly pretty good. Tari Eason didn't shoot great. Cam Whitmore didn't shoot well. Reed Shepherd didn't shoot well. It hurts when your bench guys combine for 7 makes on, trying to do the math really quickly, 37 attempts. That's not going to win you games. The Rockets will be fine. When AD plays for the Mavs, though, looks really good. Unfortunately, he's injured. That sucks. Speaking of other big trades, Golden State Warriors defeated the Chicago Bulls 132-111. Steph Curry led the way with 34 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Quentin Post, Boston College legend. Quentin Post, my GOAT, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And the newly acquired Jimmy Butler, 25 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. The Warriors were down 20 in this game. They win this game by 20. How? Because Steph Curry was Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler, I think, is going to benefit from this trade a lot. And I think he's also going to benefit from the fact that he's getting paid $55 million for the next 2 seasons. So I don't really blame him for making the move because apparently the Warriors wanted to give him a bag. But is Butler still a very solid player? Yes. Is Curry the best player he'll ever play with? Absolutely. The Warriors go as far as Steph Curry goes, not as far as Jimmy Butler goes. And I think he understands that. I think he knows that he isn't the number one on this team. Steph Curry is still Steph Curry. He's had 4 straight games, including tonight. He's had 4 straight games of 30 points or more. And he has been killing it. Like, he had 38, 6, and 4 tonight. So, I mean, he's pretty good. I don't know if we all knew that, but apparently he's pretty good. But, I mean, yeah, I just think with kind of the dynamic of the team that this team is very good. The team is good. I think losing Wiggins hurts because it weakens you in terms of like the 3 and like the scoring ability at the 3 a lot more. But in terms of bringing in Jimmy Butler, like, sure, it helps. I think just my concern with it is age. And it's just like when you go into the playoffs, Steph is going to be 37, Draymond is 35, and Jimmy's 35. Like, that isn't great to see. That isn't really like uplifting ages to see in a player. So, but the Bulls are officially selling. I don't know why they kept Nikola Vucevic. I think they should have just lowered their asking price to just 1 first-round pick. I don't know why it was like multiple. Or really just take the 2 second-round picks and just move on. You move on from Zach LaVine. You got to keep your young guys like Kobe White, Matas Buzelis, and anybody else who's on the younger side of that team. But like, now the Bulls aren't good. And I think they really do need a good draft pick. But I mean, they just took in a bunch of players for really nothing and just giving up Zach LaVine. And now they have to deal with their contracts and they didn't get a pick in return. So, or no, I think they got their own pick back from San Antonio. So great, you got your first round pick back and you stink. So that's pretty good. Yeah, at least you get value for not being good. Final game that I'm going to cover isn't so much a game, but it's more so a person. On Sunday, pretty big game happened. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the 76ers 135-127. I know, I'm kidding. Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but I mean, the Chiefs just got walked. Simple as that. What was that? Nick Celtics? Haha. Anyway. No, seriously. Bucks defeated the 76ers 135-127. Damian Lillard, 43.7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. Bobby Portis, 18 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. Gary Trent Jr., 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Tyrese Maxey, 39 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Joel Embiid, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And Paul George, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks with, I think, a calf strain. Let me just clarify that real quick. Left calf strain. Unfortunately, he will be out of the All-Star game, as will Anthony Davis. So Kyrie Irving will be filling in for Anthony Davis, and for Giannis, it will be Trae Young. So, honestly, both fair, both deserving. So, it is what it is. I didn't watch this game, though, but I should have, because an NBA legend retired after this game. Hubie Brown. If you don't know Hubie Brown, he was a former coach in the NBA. He was a coach for 50 plus years. Is just one of the best basketball minds ever. If you ever want the crazy Hubie Brown stat, I think it's like Hubie Brown saw like 90+% of NBA players ever. Again, he's like been associated in games with 90% of NBA players ever. Like, that's crazy. He coached against Kareem. He coached against Jordan, or maybe LeBron, I think was the second one. And he called games for Victor Wembanyama. He has been around the NBA and the game for that long. There are videos of him. There's going to be documentaries made about him. He is the godfather of basketball. Sure, James Naismith. There are going to be players who are legends and stuff that are going to be more legendary than Hubie Brown. But if you watch basketball, you know Hubie Brown. Hubie Brown was the best at explaining basketball. He did it so well, so eloquently, so simplistically. Didn't matter if you were a 6-year-old watching for the first time or if you were a 25-year-old or 22-year-old who has been watching for the last 16 years of their life. He understood what you were looking for, and he put it so simply. Watching him, like being able to see the clips and some of the stuff that he was teaching and just hearing him call games and the passion that he brought to every game that he called, the relationship that he had with the players. It was special. It truly was. He is, in my opinion, the greatest analyst, the greatest number 2 guy for all of basketball in broadcasting. When I say number 2, I mean like the color commentator, not like, or the analyst, not so much the commentator. Because Mike Breen, Kevin Harlan, Marv Albert, Costas in the 90s, that's like a Mount Rushmore. But Hubie Brown is the greatest analyst of all time. He lived for the game, retired doing what he loved, and he just made basketball so enjoyable. And I know it's like weird for me to say this, but he really did have a lot of impact on me. My dream is to be a sports broadcaster. I want to be in the shoes of a Mike Breen, Kevin Harlan, the Eagle family, or the Eagle family. Sorry, it's Ian Eagle. And I know I'm getting emotional about this, but it's just there are some people who you don't like. Sports broadcasting is a passion of mine because of the moments that you're able to create. Now, are all sports broadcasters perfect? No. Are all analysts perfect? Absolutely not. But if there was one that was close to perfect or is perfect, it's Hubie Brown. He knew his job. He knew exactly what he needed to do at the moments that he needed to. A lot of it was simply just seeing the game how it is. It wasn't overanalyzing things. It wasn't trying to break down things in ways that you've never seen before. It wasn't trying to break the mold. It was the simplicity of, this is the game. You get to watch it. And I'm going to help you understand it. Understanding the strong side versus the weak side, understanding what the defense is thinking when the offense is doing this and what the offense is thinking when the defense is doing this. If I could be half the man Hubie Brown was, it'd be a pretty good life. Pretty good life. I mean, I think he called like 6 finals on TV and then 14 on radio. Just a brilliant mind to the game. Just an incredible person. And he was able to do what he loved. And that was talking about basketball. So, salute to you, Hubie Brown. True legend of the game. I know I'm making it sound like he's dead, but he's not. He's healthy. But he is retired. And I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss Hubie. All right, we got one Instagram question. I know I've been slacking on the Instagram questions. I am going to bring it back. But we do have one. It's from my good friend, Zach Archpley. What do you think about LiAngelo Ball at the All-Star game? I love it. Tweaker's a great song. Simple as that. I'm at Swerve in that corner. Whoa, whoa. I saw somebody try to say, like, oh, they're just copying the NFL. No, the NBA has been doing this. They also do it completely differently. It is a true, like, hey, I'm going to do one song. That's it. It's a mini performance. Just to kind of get a little bit more bang for your buck instead of like the full production and everything like that. But no, big fan of Tweaker by Jello. And yeah, everything like that. So that does it for this episode. I will see you all on Friday for another episode. Be on the lookout for next week. We're going to most likely have a guest. I will confirm that with him later this week or next week. I'm going to go watch Luka Doncic finish out his debut with the Los Angeles Lakers. Very excited to see that. Today's player is Sasa Vujicic. I love you all. Follow the socials, like and subscribe, comment, whatever you got to do. So let me know if I did a good or bad job. If you hate me, I love you. Simple as that. I'll see you on Friday for the next episode. Peace out.